Hello, welcome to the very first For Friday Q&A, and I had a great response to this. I mean, I only mentioned it once in a video last week, said I was going to do it, said how to ask questions, and plenty of people did, so that's cool. I had one or two, maybe a few more questions from people asking, what do you think of Game X on System Y, where System Y was PC, Xbox 360, Xbone or PS4. Well, I don't game on the PC and I don't own those consoles, so I don't have an opinion or I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to offer opinions on games I've never played or don't know anything about. So sorry, I won't be answering those questions. Moving on to questions I can answer. Fawltykog asks, what is your favourite Fall LP? Because you can ask whatever the hell you like, it doesn't have to be about gaming. My favourite Fall LP, because we share a taste in music here, in the Fall at least. I'm a big Fall fan. Well, I say that. I was going through I have a big collection of music on my phone, or I did until my micro SD card died. And I was removing stuff that I don't like. It would come up and play while I'm out walking and stuff in town, and I found that I didn't care to listen to the Fall after the Friends Experiment. Everything that comes after the Friends Experiment, I'm like, that's crap. But everything before it is brilliant. But my favourite Fall LP is Ben Sinister, which is, I think, one of Marky Smith's least favourite Fall albums, but I don't care, I love that one. It was the first Fall LP I ever bought. I mean, I didn't know a whole lot about them when I first heard them. I remember the very first time I ever heard the Fall, I was passenger in my dad's car. He had a Ford Capri Mark II, white. It was cool. And he got the radio on, and I think it was Janice Long, and she played the Fall, and it was US 80s, 90s. And I just remember sitting there thinking, this is bloody brilliant. I've never heard anything like this before. And I think she mentioned it was on their new album, so I went to Virgin or whatever the record shop was, and I bought the album on vinyl, still got it, and I thought, this is fantastic. And so I went and bought all the Fall I could lay my hands on, and of course everything Ben Sinister and everything before it, and one album after it, brilliant. And then they just went, bleh. Yeah, Ben Sinister. Okay, next question. FiXato asks, with console games and consoles itself now requiring software updates and perhaps even hardware upgrades in the form of new hard disks and peripherals, as well as not really needing physical media and relying on external servers, and PCs requiring less frequent hardware upgrades, you could say the borders between console and PC gaming are fading away. Does this make you reconsider your opposition to PC gaming, or rather, what keeps you from PC gaming? I'll tell you what, it doesn't make me any more likely to get into PC gaming. What it does is make me less likely to invest in console gaming, modern console gaming, because yeah, modern console gaming is getting more and more like PC gaming. Many of the inconveniences are creeping in. I did a rant video, quite a few years ago, where I said making games that take up 8 gigabytes of storage on your hard drive was stupid. And this was Gran Turismo Concept, what's the bloody word I'm looking for? Is it Prelude? I think it's Prelude. Gran Turismo 5 Prelude. I said, this is stupid. We've got people with PS3s with hard drives that, like, mine was only 60 gig, and there were people with only 20 gig hard drives, and here they are making a game that's this big. You're going to have to start removing stuff or upgrade your hard drive, and you shouldn't have to do that on a console. Hey presto, I filled the hard drive on my PS3 and I had to put a new hard drive in it, and it's an inconvenience. You shouldn't have to do that on a console. It's not what console gaming is about. You're meant to stick the disc in and play the game. So yes, they are becoming much more like PC gaming hardware. Will this make me reconsider? Well, I'm not opposed to PC gaming. I think it absolutely has its place. I just don't do it. The main reason, there are two reasons. Well, it really comes down to one thing. Money. PC gaming is still expensive. A PC that is capable of good gaming is expensive. My PC is perfectly capable of doing like video rendering. All of this is done on my PC, and it takes a bit of grunt to be able to do video editing, and I can do it. It's capable. Games, no. To game on my PC, I would first need a new, bigger hard drive, because I've nearly filled this thing with video footage. I would need a new graphics card, and I would need a new power supply to support the graphics card, because this thing's marginal, and I killed one in my previous PC. No, PC gaming to me is still a little bit too... It's expensive, it's kind of awkward when you get operating system updates and you get bloody, what's it called, DirectX upgrades and stuff. I can't be bothered with all that. It takes a little bit more knowledge than I can be bothered to research. No. To me, now, gaming is kind of gotten like music. So those of you who are of a certain age will find what we found in our parents, I think, looking at music. I noticed this in my parents. Why did they always listen to old music? Here was me in my teens and 20s. No, I wasn't still living with them in my 20s. In my teens, listening to modern music, the stuff that was on Top of the Pops or whatever, and I was buying the stuff that was actually not in the charts because it was weird stuff. But and here they were listening to 60s music, and I was like, why are you listening to that stuff? Why don't you keep up? And they said, this stuff all sounds the same. And I thought, that's stupid. And here I am now at 46, and you know what? I couldn't tell you any song that's in the charts right now. I have no idea about any current musical artist, whatever. I mean, the ones who I know are the ones who were going 20 odd years ago, and are still going. Some of them longer than that. David Bowie? Yeah. So I've done what my parents did. I'm stuck. My musical tastes kind of have stopped progressing, I suppose. And there's one or two very, very rare artists that I find that are like recent, and I think, wow, that's cool. Grimes is probably the one I think of. I like what she does. But mostly, you know, it's like mid-90s, I stopped keeping up, stopped caring. It all sounds the same now. And this is a recognised phenomena in music. But you know what? I think I've hit that point in gaming. I've got a PS3, I've got a mass of games on it, and I've reached that point where I've seen it all before. Seen it, done it. It's another sequel or another different, very slightly take on the same thing that's been done a billion times already, and I just don't care. And next generation, Xbox. Well, I was never going to get an Xbox anyway. My thoughts on Microsoft consoles are well known. PS4. There's nothing that makes me think I've got to have that, because it's just PS3 but a bit more, and meh. Yeah, I have hit that point. I think it's like meh. And PC gaming is no different. So that's answering the question and a whole lot more, and probably answering a question that comes along later as well. We'll see. Moving on. Where was I? That was my wife ringing me because she was bored. Right. Yes. Yeah. Shaun George. Your house is on fire and you only have time to save one system and 3 of its games. Which system, which games, and why? As I think I said, I was going to say my Amiga, my 1260 tower, which I built, and it's my baby. And I thought, yeah, easy answer, because sentimental reasons as much as anything, because I built it and I've had it for a long while. And then I thought about the games that I would keep for it, and it dawned on me, yes, they're good games and they're fun, but would that cut it now, with all the games that I'm used to playing? Would that be enough? Because they are dated, they look dated, they feel dated, they're still fun, but... And I ended up thinking, no, that probably won't cut it. If I want it for actually playing games, there are better games that are more fun. So I had to rethink, and I concluded PS2. Why PS2 and not PS3? My answer will be reliability, because my PS2 has lasted a whole lot longer than either PS3 that I've got. And the games on it still kick ass, and the games would be Gran Turismo 4. I am more familiar with and more comfortable with Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, but 4 is just bigger, so no-brainer. God, I had the answers in my head. I knew exactly what they were going to be. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, because it's huge, and I like that whole sandbox thing and walking around. And I mean, I used to do this. I'd play it in the middle of the night and just stand and watch the people, listen to them talking, and then steal a car and listen to the radio. And I could just waste hours actually not even playing it, just watching and listening to it. And God, third one. I was going to say Black, but then it's like, really not. Maybe was it Shadow of the Colossus? Probably. Yeah, I love both Shadow of the Colossus and Black. I love both of them, but I think probably Shadow of the Colossus, because it's huge, it's immersive, it has a certain something to it that you just don't get anywhere else. That would be that, I think. Music Maniac 1965 asks, as you know, I follow your channel a long time. Yeah, I know. Thank you. I'm curious about just one thing. It's obvious you are really good at Gran Turismo games. I don't know about really good, but I'm alright. But there must have been a time you also had to learn this game. Yeah, on the very first one. If you like a new different brand racer, would you be able to practice and get equally good at it as you did with Gran Turismo? Or is there a specific reason you only play this racer? I got good at Gran Turismo from the very first game. It was the kind of racing game I had wanted for years, and no one ever did. It was a visually impressive game where the physics felt realistic. It felt plausible. There was no messing around with storylines. There was no messing around with stylistic nonsense. There were no weird, funny, silly gimmicks, pick up the stars, get the bonuses, do this, do visual nonsense. It was as near as you could get to just getting into a car and racing other cars on a circuit. And that's what I wanted for years, and then here it was, and I played it to death. I did everything I could to be as good as I possibly could at it, because to me it was racing game perfection. And so Gran Turismo 2 came out and I did the same thing, and Gran Turismo 3 came out and I did the same thing. I played it until I knew it back to front, inside out, upside down, you name it. I played it to death. I wanted to be as good as you could possibly be at it. And then Gran Turismo 4 came out, but by then I'd met Andrea, and I spent more time doing what you do when you've met someone you love, which is not playing video games. I still played video games, but I couldn't commit as much time to it. But yeah, It's not the only racing game I play. I have quite a few other racing games. And I will commit quite a bit of time to them if they work in the same way. I don't want the storyline, which appears on some games like Race Driver type thing. When there are cutscenes and storylines, and you know your competitor is catching up with you or beating you, or you've got to do that, I'm like, I don't care about this. I just want to race. I'll make up my own storylines in my head if I feel like it, but don't put one in front of me. So when I get that kind of nonsense, it just turns me right off. When there are artificial objectives or game mechanics, like what's that called? Need for Speed doesn't do it for me. Just weird objectives and silly things in it. And what's that other thing? I'm looking for it on me in my collection there. There's another one. Burnout. I've tried that, and in some ways it's very impressive and visually cool, but it's all about the crashing, and I don't care. So far, the only other racing game I have played on my PS3 that has actually done it for me was the Ferrari. There's a Ferrari game, and I can't remember what it's called. Ferrari Challenge. Yeah, Ferrari Challenge. That hits the spot. It's Ferraris, which is great, and it's just plain racing. So I like that, and I did get quite good at that because it worked in the same way. So I suppose, yes, if I find another racing game that I like, I can get very good at it, but it has to work in the same way as Gran Turismo. It needs those kind of physics, that kind of realism and lack of nonsense. There's another game, another driving game that I have spent quite a lot of time playing and I enjoy, but it's Test Drive Unlimited. I love the first one. And I played that on my PC, my old PC, before I blew it up. This one is not up to it. I've got Test Drive Unlimited 2 on my PS3, and it just doesn't do it for some reason. I'm gutted that they didn't do the first game on the PS3, because it looks so much better in high definition, like my PC could do. I've got it on the PS2, I've got it on the PSP, and it's not as good. It doesn't come close. And I don't have a 360 where I imagine it would be as good as the PC version. Yeah, loved that. Test Drive Unlimited 2, it's just not as good. Doesn't cut it. Shame. Anyway, hope that answers your question. I kind of rambled a bit, but I think I'm going to ramble a bit on all of these, because why not? Geigerpunk asks, driving music, yes or no? If yes, what do you like to go for? Obviously it depends on mood a lot of the time, but what would be your favourite driving tunes? No, never, ever. I can't drive and talk. I can't drive and listen. I did try driving with music a few times. I spent a couple of, well, not even a week, just music playing on my phone on random shuffle. And I was dangerous. It was a distraction, or it affected my mood or frame of time in such a way that I was driving more aggressively than I should have or was appropriate. My judgment was affected by it. I would be braking later, I would be, like, say, pulling out at a junction, and just my ability to judge a gap. I have a neurological condition that one aspect of it is I have a one-track mind. Really, really, really one-track. Tunnel vision, not literally, but the way my mind works. And anything that disrupts the flow of my mental process disrupts it badly. If I'm doing a thing and something happens that distracts me, the thing that I'm doing just goes to hell. And that includes driving. And forever when I'm driving, if I've got Andrea in the passenger seat, I'm forever having to say, stop talking to me, I'm going to crash. You know, unless I'm going down a dead straight road and there's no other traffic, don't talk to me. And it's the same with music. it just makes me a bad driver, so I don't. The only occasion I've ever driven any amount of time with music playing where I found I could do it and it was actually beneficial was on the motorway. And I don't do much motorway driving, but when I went to play Blackpool, drove there, I found music was beneficial. Just, I wouldn't say keep me awake, but I would sing along, and it was something, keep me alert, keep me from not being mesmerised by the road, because the motorway I do find a bit mesmerising. And there was this one moment, I had the perfect driving moment, and it involved music. Coming back from Blackpool, 6 o'clock in the morning on the... what's that bit that goes across the Pennines? It's the highest bit of motorway in the country. And there's a bit just before you hit the really high point where you swoop down and you're on a big sweeping corner, and then it swoops back up again, and you can see the road doing this as it opens up in front of you. And I was going along there doing about 80, which is about as fast as my car will go. And the sun was in just the right place, and the light was fantastic, and the scenery was gorgeous, and I had Lisa Gerrard singing, she of Dead Can Dance, and was she singing a song, was it Seraphim or something? Fantastic. It's kind of a classical sounding song, it's not opera. You'd have to Google it, YouTube it, look up Lisa Gerrard, and I think it's called Seraphim. That song at that moment, epic, perfect. It's the best driving moment I've ever had. But driving music, as a rule, no, it makes me dangerous. I would kill someone, probably myself. Lilac Floyd asks, with the PS5 and next Xbox rumoured to be released around 2020-ish, is that too late? When do you think the next generation of consoles should be released? What with 4K and other new technologies that are imminent? Yeah, I think that is too late. Xbone and PS4 are anemic. They are too small a step. I mean, we're used to fairly big steps. 8-bit consoles up to 16-bit was quite a significant step, I guess. I mean, Master System to Mega Drive, they were sort of trying to do some of the same games a little bit. But then when the step up to the PS1, to me that didn't seem such a massive step, because I was used to some fairly complex games on the Amiga, and I'd had a 32X. But nevertheless, that was kind of like a half generation step. But Mega Drive to PS1, big step. PS1 to PS2, fairly big step. Maybe not quite as big, but it was significant. You noticed it. PS2 to PS3, a little bit smaller, but it still impressed. It was still enough to make me think, I want some of that. And then PS3 to PS4, I look at it and think, don't care. You know, the lighting's a bit better, the resolution's a bit better, there might be a few more enemy combatants coming at you, and they might have slightly more complex behaviour, or they might not. But I just look at it and think, I can do that already. So I kind of look on the current next gen, if you like, the Xbone and PS3. It's a stopgap. PS3 and Xbox 360 were, 10-year lifespan, and there was it 7 years between, like, from them coming out before they released the next system, something like that. I don't know, however long. But no, to me, PS4 and Xbone, they should have 5-year lifespan. They're a stopgap. So when did they come out? Start of this year. So yeah, what are they talking about? 2020-ish. I reckon that's just a little bit too late. Should be 2019, even 2018. I think. I mean, they're kind of the current, Xbone, PS4, they're already not good enough, I think. They're already They just don't impress in the way that they need to. They were already being pushed to the technical limits before, well, as soon as they came out, they were being maxed out because it's just PC hardware. So no, 2020-ish, too late, needs to be sooner. 2018, I would say, or 2019. They are just disappointing to me. Meh. Okay, next question. Gabbo. I know this is a broad question, but what are some of your expectations for GT7, i.e. better sound, more or less cars? My expectations are not the same as what I would like. This is going to shock a few people. I actually think they shouldn't bother. I actually think they've taken it as far as they possibly can, because each time they on every new generation of console, PlayStation, they do the first game, which is like proof of concept. They make the game engine, and then they just give you the bare minimum acceptable to qualify as a game. And they take bloody ages doing it, really. And then they kick out a sequel to it in fairly short order, which is much, much, much bigger, and is basically everything the previous game should have been. But what they did with Gran Turismo 6 killed it for me with the updates. They need to give it up, because it was ridiculous. Massive, massive, massive game, and they keep adding massive, massive, massive bits to it. No, stop that. Don't do it. But I expect that they will. I don't think that they will improve the sound. They should. I don't think they will, because they never have. I just think GT7 will be GT6, but in higher definition, with better depth of colour, with slightly more advanced physics model, with a few extra tracks. It's going to be more of the same, but more, and then with lots and lots and lots of stuff cobbled on later. You could say to me, what would make you want to get a PS4? And my first thought is Gran Turismo, and then I think again and think, I have hit a point with Gran Turismo. I love it. I really, really love it. But GT6 has killed it for me as well. I'm angry at them for what they did with it, because it was so wrong. And it is just so much more of the same. And then if you were to say to me, well, what would you like different? Nothing. Because other things would spoil it. I wouldn't want the whole rewind thing. I wouldn't want funky, weird, strange objectives. I wouldn't want cutscenes against, telling you storylines and crap. I wouldn't want any of the stuff that you get in any of the other games. So what would I want that isn't in GT6 already? Nothing. It's gone as far as it can go, as far as I'm concerned. And anything else that they do with it, I can't tell you. I just don't know. They'd have to have a stroke of genius for it to hold me any further, because I love it and I wish they would stop as well. Odd. Hugh James Cooksley. What game console have you had for the longest period of time? For example, I still have the same Game Boy Color my mum bought when I was 7 in 2003. Acorn Electron. Yeah, that I got in 1986. Was it 87? It was 8. I think it was 86. Round about then. My Electron is kind of like What's-His-Face's sword, who I don't know, like different handles, different blades and stuff. It's kind of gone through a few bits and pieces and replacements and stuff over the years. Is there any of the original system still in it? Possibly. Maybe the case. I think of it as the same one. On a technical level it might not be, but it's been like replaced bit here, bit there and stuff. But yeah, Acorn Electron. It was not the first computer I ever owned. It was not the first useful practical computer I ever owned, but it was the first one that got a lot of use because I had everything necessary to do stuff with it. Like I had a ZX81, but I didn't have a compatible tape deck. I had a Atari 6... Oh, whoa. I have told you a great big fat lie. It's not even the Acorn Electron, is it? No, it's my Atari 600 XL. I got that before my Electron. It's just that I wasn't really able to use it in any meaningful way because I couldn't get a tape deck for it. I had one cartridge game for it that I lent to a friend and he never gave it back. Bastard. Yeah, so it sat in a box in the loft for years. But that's a system I've had for the longest. Okay, moving on. Retrospective 81. No, the Retrospective 81 asks, how come you never go to the really big play event in Manchester in Manchester every year? Would you ever go in the future, or do you prefer the smaller, more intimate events like the events at Blackpool, etc.? Yeah, I don't like Manchester. Full stop. That's the long and the short of it. I do not like Manchester. The only time I spent any amount of time in Manchester was wedding anniversary with my wife, and she wound up in hospital with a suspected, well, initially we thought it was a heart attack, and then it turned out it was a blood clot on the lung. Very scary. I was scared stiff. I thought she was going to die. I spent a week there while she was in hospital. I was toing and froing from the hotel. Cost a bloody fortune. Wiped out my savings completely, but that's neither here nor there. It was a horrible, horrible week. And I never want to go back. Ever. To Manchester. Irrational. I don't care. It's that empirical conditioning, if you like. You have a bad experience, you associate it with something, and you become phobic of that something. Don't like Manchester, never want to go there. That, and I don't want to have to drive there anyway, even if I didn't hate Manchester. There's that roundabout. I hate that roundabout as you come into, I don't know what part of Manchester it is, I just know you've been driving along the motorway for ages, and then you get off at some exit, and then you come to this big, big, big bastard roundabout. And I've been across it a few times when we go, where have we been going? Can't remember. And there's an evil roundabout, and it's big, and it's fast, and it's aggressive. The drivers on it are really aggressive, and it's complex, and which lane you're meant to be in, and which exit you're meant to be taking, and you're trying to read your sat-nav while trying to navigate this roundabout, and I don't want to do it because it's horrible. And I wouldn't say I'm a confident driver. I've only been driving not 2 years, and I don't want to go there. But it's not even that, because there's more to it than that. I have seen videos of the Manchester Play Expo, and I don't like the venue. It's just massive and soulless. I don't like the look of it. I would say I don't like the sound of it, but Play Blackpool is also incredibly loud, and I do have trouble with the sound. It is too loud. I can't filter the background noise out to have a conversation with someone. You know, you've got to be literally standing here and shouting in my ear for me to hear you, and that's not good. So, no. I see videos of it and I think I'm glad I didn't go to that, because it's not something that I would enjoy. Blackpool, I enjoy Blackpool. I don't know if I will go to Blackpool again. I've been 3 times, and I have a love-hate thing with Blackpool and with that kind of thing. I love meeting the people. I really do. But then that's also kind of, it's draining as well. It's fairly exhausting. You go there and you know you're just going to meet person after person after person, stand and chat and blah, and that's fantastic, but it does mean you don't get to look at all the stuff. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't feel the need to go again. And then when you do get to see all the stuff, it's kind of like, yeah, been there, done that, got that. So, I mean, the thing that held my attention was the arcade games, and it's like, do I want to go all the way to Blackpool or anywhere else just to play the Star Wars cabinet? Because really, that's it for me. I want to play Star Wars. Once I've played that, I could go home. I don't know. I'm fairly burned out with the whole thing. So, Manchester, never. Blackpool, again, maybe not, I don't know. We'll see. Andy Hilton. This catches me out because I used to go to school with a lad with a name that was very close to that, and I had to think, is that? No, it's not. Hi Steve, a question for Friday, because it's Friday. Do you think the current gen consoles will be the last as we know it, and next gen games will just be streamed through TV by a subscription? And another one, what do you think Facebook will do with the Oculus Rift? Okay, the streaming thing, I really hope not. I really hope that games don't get streamed, because then all you're doing is renting it. Sony and Microsoft have already shown they're perfectly willing to shut down support, online support for consoles when they deem them out of date. PSP, have they shut that down yet? I don't know. I think they have, which renders anyone with a PSP Go buggered if they don't put custom firmware on it. The whole streaming thing, it's we're used to built-in obsolescence on technological stuff, but we do expect to still be able to use them, hence all of this. The moment they build a console that, once it's deemed obsolete, is no longer functional and you can't use it, that to me is a very bad thing. I hope it doesn't happen. They're trying to do it because they can charge more, they can make more money, they can completely dictate how much you pay and what you play it on and for how long. That is bad. That takes the power away from the consumer and puts it in their hand, and it's terrible, and I will have nothing to do with it. If gaming goes that way, I won't touch it because it's wrong. Do I think it will go that way? I think they will try, but I think, and this is what I hope, and I mean I've been talking about it, I think Android-based VR is a potential direction for gaming in the future. It's almost here, it's almost with us. Google Cardboard is great, or things that are compatible with it, and I think it has the potential. Google Cardboard headsets aren't like that stupid massive thing that I built. I mean, that was an extreme thing, built because I didn't have a compatible phone, but I did have a tablet. But you can have a small, practical sized head-mounted, portable thing. You don't need your Oculus Rift where you're wired into a big fat computer. And you don't need the supermassive high-powered graphics. You can have pretty simple Android sort of PS2 level graphics in a 3D environment on a thing that you can walk around in. Though I wouldn't advise doing that because you'll bump into stuff. But you know, it's portable. And I honestly think practical. That is the direction I would like to see gaming go. It's not expensive. And it's not all about massive horsepower, which is what the consoles are all about. It's like the most, got to have more power, and it's more money. And less reliable. Change of direction is needed, I hope. I mean, it's like I said earlier, I have reached that point, like in music. I seen it all. Been there, done that, not interested anymore. Just like, give me something that impresses me, give me something that is different, that makes me go, wow. And so far, the only thing that has done that isn't anything I've seen on an Xbone or a PS4. I haven't seen one thing on those systems that make me think, I want that. The only thing that's made me go, wow, is VR. You know, I'd like to see things go that way. What do I think Facebook will do with the Oculus Rift? Okay. I don't think they can do a lot with the Oculus Rift. The Oculus Rift is going to go Android powered. I have read, who was it? Thingy Carmack? The ID bloke? John Carmack? Is it? Whatever. The Doom geezer. He's involved in Oculus Rift development, and he was saying how bloody horrible it is to develop for Oculus Rift on Android, which means they're developing it for Android. That I think Facebook can do stuff with, because it's a stepping stone onto what I was talking about in my previous video about a vision of the future. Facebook want in, Google want in, because VR is a step towards augmented reality, and I think that is the future. It's all about snooping. It's all about control. It's all about information, getting it from you, giving it to you. That's what I think Facebook will do with it. I don't see them doing a whole lot that's brilliant with the PC, because though the PC based stuff is visually way better, it's limited because you've got to sit in a chair, and that means you can't turn all the way around, and that is limiting. It limits what you can do. Yeah, I think they're going to use it into as a stepping stone into a bigger thing later on. Them and Google, and if Apple don't get in on it, they're missing a trick. Dixie Pickles asks, as remakes of games are so popular these days, which retro game would you like to see being remade and why? Good question, and I had to think quite a lot about this, and then it struck me. Star Wars Arcade. Why the hell would I want to see Star Wars Arcade remade on modern technology? Well, I wouldn't like to see it visually enhanced in any way whatsoever. You can emulate it on MAME. You get it on one of those Star Wars games on the N64, is it? Or the Wii, GameCube, something, can't remember. You can get versions of it on PC and Amiga and all the 8-bit systems and stuff, and none of them quite hit the spot. And why is that? The controller. They can get the graphics and the sound perfect, but they can't get the controller, because it's a weird yoke. You forwards and back and turning like that. And it's necessary. Mouse control doesn't do it. Normal joystick control doesn't do it. You don't have the precision to put the crosshair where you need it as quickly as you want it. And there are two systems that I can think of that could do it. I've got both of them, so I really wish they'd do it. One is PS3, PS4, 6-axis controller. You could do that. You could. I don't know how responsive it would be, I'm not sure. That could do it, probably. Someone please remake it on there, and if that didn't, this absolutely could. These are uber responsive, and you could use that as your controller and have it HDMI out to the TV, or I don't know that I'd want it on the screen, but I suppose that would be. Do you know what? Does MAME on the tablet on Android have that facility? I've never actually thought about it. Can you use gyro control for controls on MAME? Should probably look into that. Yes, that's what I would like to see being remade. Using controls that will emulate the yoke controller on the original Star Wars arcade cabinet, because anything else just won't do. Okay, last question. Dave Webster. Other than cost, what would be the deciding factor for taking the plunge and going for one of the new consoles in the future? It would take a game that made me go, wow, I want some of that. And I don't know what that would be, because so far everything that I'm seeing on it is just what we've got already, but a bit more. And I've seen nothing that makes me want to do that, want some of that. I mean, Gran Turismo would be the obvious answer, but as I said already, have they reached the limit with that? Can they really do something with that that is worth the bother? Can they make a complete game that's not going to be pissing you off in about 6 months' time with the stupid number of updates? Can they make a complete game that is so brilliant that you're like, yeah, want that? That's the only game that makes me think, yeah. And maybe Grand Theft Auto. That's what it will take, is a game that makes me go, wow, I want that. So far there isn't one. I haven't seen one thing that makes me go, want that. And maybe it will be something on their Morpheus VR headset thing if they finally get that off the ground. And maybe that will be the thing. I don't know how that thing hooks up. I haven't looked into it at all. Is it wired in? Are you going to have a big trailing load of wires, or is it wireless somehow? That would be good. That would be better. Something like that. It's got to be something that stands out as significantly better or different from what we have now. So far I've seen nothing. I'm very disenchanted with the current state of next gen. There you are. That was the last question. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I'm very grateful for the response. Do feel free on any video that I put up between now and next Friday. Could be on this video or any of the other ones before next Friday. If you have a question, just begin with "for Friday" and then ask a question, and I will answer it next Friday. But like I said at the start, I don't do PC games. I don't have an Xbone. I don't have a 360. I don't have a PS4. If you ask me questions about them, you're not going to get an answer. You might as well ask me what's my favourite restaurant in North Korea that serves dog. Yeah. That's all. Thank you for watching.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider clicking the thumbs up button. I upload videos daily, so go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to see more. To all those who've already subscribed, I'd just like to say a great big thank you.